Throughout history, farmers have picked up and left their rural lives in pursuit of more enriched urban ones. Nowadays, we are faced with a world in which this is occurring at a rate unmatched to any that came before it. Social scientists and politicians alike have met this new trend with backlash, calling it a force to be reckoned with, or the downfall of modern society. However, urbanization, when met with productive planning of infrastructure and development, is simply another step in human progression, one that has the potential to facilitate technological advancement and improve the global standard of living like never before. Living in Singapore, we are exposed to positive urbanization every day. It is no doubt that Singapore is the guinea pig of modern city development, bringing in competent planners from all around the globe to maximize usability in the small space provided to us. However, so-called megacities in developing countries have it differently. Take a look at Mumbai, for example. More specifically, Dharavi, a high-density, impoverished area housing around 700,000 people. People are often quick to judge areas like this, focusing on the polluted streams and lack of cleanliness. However, the truth is that this environment has birthed hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs, the highest concentration of business owners of anywhere in the world. On top of this, in the 65,000 rural markets that are held in India every week, nearly 75% of the vendors are women. This allows the gap between genders to narrow, challenging pre-existing social rules and ushering in a new era of equality. The benefits of urbanization don't end there. In the United States, urban residents are often more progressive, taking steps to stop the effects of climate change. On the contrary, rural residents tend to vote on legislation that enables greater profit, paying little attention to the environment. Of course, these are generalizations, and whether one is a progressive thinker or not doesn't necessarily dictate their carbon footprint. However, the general trend is that those who live in or near cities are more open to conservation policies. On top of this, the rural lifestyle is generally a spacious one, meaning that more land is used and thus exploited per person. So, it only makes sense that as you move toward a more urbanized area with a higher population density, people leave less of a footprint. People become more appreciative of the little space they do have, leading to greater environmental consciousness. If we're going to maximize efficiency and sustainability when addressing urban growth, we must first look at agriculture. The displacement of people from rural to urban society that is occurring in record numbers across the globe has led to a shortage in staple foods for an ever-increasing market. Basic economics tells us that this will lead to a high demand and little supply, causing prices of staple foods to increase. Although this trend doesn't look good for an urbanized society in the future, the trend can be reversed. In Barcelona, the redevelopment of local markets and emphasis on building a healthy relationship between urban and rural populations has improved the economy and begun to solve the problem of food shortages. The city of Paris worked with the company Sogaris in order to create the logistics center Chapelle International, a 42,000 meter squared facility that deals with the movement of goods from farm to table. This kind of investment encourages clean methods of transport to and from the city, improving efficiency and taking steps toward environmental conservatism in the process. Another way we can begin to reduce the effects of food shortage is through individually embracing agriculture in our everyday lives. Here in Singapore, students at NUS have created a self-sustainable farming process, which utilizes waste from a fish tank filled with African tilapia to yield 6 kg of vegetables, such as butterhead lettuce, spring onion, and Chinese cabbage, in the last 2 months. The process of creating efficient means of food production in the city is a growing trend, and it is taking shape all across Singapore. Even here at SAS, service clubs such as Edible Garden City are embracing this trend. Unfortunately, these practices are not currently at a point in which they can replace the losses associated with a dwindling rural population. This can be changed if we start to change our habits of throwing everything away. The National Parks Board's Community in Bloom program, a nationwide gardening initiative which started in 2005, has more than 1,000 community gardening groups today. These communities practice recycling and composting of food items in order to perpetuate the process of food production, growing greens for their families. Urbanization is one of the biggest challenges of this generation. If we want to create a world that utilizes urbanization to our advantage, we need to practice sustainable methods of food production and bridge the gap between rural and urban society. We should embrace the ideas of those in urban environments, paying less attention to the poverty in which they live and paying more attention to what they've been able to do in their circumstances. This acceptance of others' ideas and lifestyles is the first step to a better, more advanced future.